Good morning. You're listening to the Gathering Place Radio Show. We are very honored here this morning to have a special guest with us. It's Phil Campbell. Hi, Phil.
Hello, John. How are you?
Good. I love this man. Phil, there'll be people out there that don't know you. I'm sure it's very few, but there may be a few. Have you lived in Washington Courthouse your whole life, or where'd you come from?
Since 1957.
Where were you born and raised?
Indiana, Winchester, Indiana. I was born there, raised Indiana, Ohio, California, Kentucky, Philippines, and back to Ohio.
Wow. So where'd you go to school during all this time?
Philippines, and I did most of my high school here in Washington Courthouse.
Oh, good.
Graduated in 1960. So
that's good. Let's see, where was I in 1960? Grade school. I don't get to do that very often. Usually everybody's younger than me. Tell us a little bit about your family.
Well, my dad was a preacher and started out being a school teacher in Indiana, and then he went into the ministry, and then that's why we started traveling from state to state and ended up in the Philippines in 1953. And so we were there for a few years, and then he ended up in his retirement years and as a professor at a Bible college in Missouri. And so they're both gone now. Yeah. But been a real pleasant experience.
But I know your wife, Carolyn, and she has the urgent care. How did you meet her? When did that all come about?
We met here. I met her right here in town. I was going to one church and, ran out there, and so I went to another church and met her at the Southside Church of Christ. And that was many years ago. She wouldn't want me to tell you how many years she'd been married.
Okay. Well, Phil, what's been your profession through your life?
Started out as a bookkeeping. At 17 years at probably people ought to remember Rooney Auto Parts. And then factory work, and then tax work. But the real profession has been the church. I've been an elder for many years and just trying to take care of that little piece of God's kingdom.
Tell us a little bit about how you allowed Jesus into your life.
That goes way back to when we were living in California, Englewood, California. I think we were having a revival because the regular minister wasn't preaching. It was an old man. I could say he's old because I'm old now, but he had white hair, and I think his name was Brother White. But he was preaching that Sunday morning, and my mom played the piano for the services, and so she was playing during the invitation hymn, and I didn't know what to do. I was not quite 10 years old. But I went up and sat down on the piano bench beside of her. And I can remember exactly everything that went on. She said, "Well, what's wrong?" I said, "I've been bad." She said, "What?" I said, "I've been bad." And so she said, "Well, when we're done here, we'll talk about it." And so my dad we met that afternoon, and he told me, and I didn't really, I guess I was too young to know what you're supposed to do. The canned words and the things the phrases you're supposed to say. I just knew I'd been bad at 9 years old. But so I was baptized later that night, and that's been many years ago. That was I don't know what year it was. It was many years ago.
The truth in that is that God does pursue us.
Oh, yeah.
And as that little boy, you knew.
Yes.
Was the power of conviction, and God was speaking to you.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Then from that time on, I know that you've been involved in was it your dad that started in the Philippines?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that's very interesting.
He was dean at the College of the Scriptures in Louisville, Kentucky, which was an all-black school. He was dean of that college, and he had some friends that he'd went to seminary with, and they asked if he wouldn't come help them start a seminary in the Philippines. And so he said yes. The whole family said yes. And so we went in 57 and established, 53, I'm sorry, 53. And he started the Apari Bible Seminary in one part of the country. And it was kind of a neat thing. After a few years there, the people on the other side of the island said, well, when we send our boys and girls over there to your seminary, they don't come home. They get married and stay there. So we want a seminary on our side of the island. And when travel back then was hard to get back and forth. So in 58, then he started one on the other side. And so I work with both of them today. And so
they're still there.
Oh, yes.
Still operating.
We had, between the two schools, we had over, I think, around 35 graduates this year.
That is wonderful.
So,
Bill, I know you've walked with the Lord. I know you started when you're 9 years old. Is there anything you can tell the people that over the years that has kind of been like a foundation thought that has been real to you because of your relationship with Jesus?
Just the fact that it's just always been there. I mean, you don't leave it. You don't, there's times when you rebel as a youngster and you try to get away from it, but you know better, and you come right back. But it's just been it's a real thing. It's a real thing. I couldn't live without it.
Amen. It's a real experience.
It is a real experience.
Maybe you're out there listening this morning and you've never allowed Jesus to become the Lord of your life. It's just as easy as believing on Him and repenting, which means turn and walk away from the stuff you're doing. Choose to do the right thing. Allow Him into your life. And Phil can testify, it's the only way to live, isn't it? That's right. You still have time to jump in the shower. Be with us this morning at 10 o'clock at the Washington High School Gymnasium. We have a pre-service connection. Our worship starts then at 10:30. We give you a cup of coffee, juice, or a donut. You can join us on Wednesday evening downtown on the third floor above Trends at 120 West Court Street, where we have a weekly Bible study. If you've enjoyed this radio show, tell your friends. Join us next week right here at the same time on Buckeye Country, 105.5 FM WCHO. Check us out on Facebook at The Gathering Place. Keep loving Jesus and loving each other.